thankfully, we have another Ani News video, and it's being The Lord of Mysteries Season 1 Ending Explained, which is perfect. I felt like I was grasping stuff pretty well, and then after finishing the final episode, I realized I was pretty off with some things, which is okay. It's okay. So there's still a lot of cool shit that I'm realizing from like the whole plot, and just a lot of little cool things. And I was in a thought process wanting to rewatch the series now, knowing everything from the end of the final episode, and just rewatching it from the beginning, knowing what I know now will help just paint the whole picture better in terms of information and stuff. But then also I thought about not doing that since I'm reading or gonna be reading the novel soon. Because I'm sure the novel is still gonna show so much that the anime didn't, or that I just didn't catch in the anime first time watching. So that'll be a good experience, just reading the novel for the first time, going through that, getting, you know, surprised about certain things, but also just more things being like cemented in my knowledge and me realizing it, like, oh shit, yeah, that totally makes more sense now. So after I finished the novel parts, which I know a lot of people's concerns were like, but the special episodes mixed within like the first part, so you're gonna spoil yourself. And I feel I could easily, I want to say easily, but it's like it's a manageable workaround, avoid those parts. Like I could read it and be like, oh, this seems based off of context that might be part of, or just people might help out, you know, skip pages, this. I could easily look it up. So I just feel I could still avoid that while also reading the novel. So I'm gonna watch this to learn more about the first season, the ending explained and everything. And then I have 2 more videos I'm gonna do just covering Lord of Mysteries stuff. That I think would be fun, but more talking points for me, really. And then after that, I'll probably start reading the novel. And like I said before, I'm not going to stream the novel. I'm just going to read it and then compile it into a relatively big video. So let me know how many chapters would be ideal for a video, because I'm not going to do videos of like 2 chapters, 10 chapters. I'm going to do a hefty video, whether it's like an hour long or a couple hours long. So feel free to let me know what would be like ideal for that, and then I could bust those out. Once I get pretty into reading a good bit, then I'll probably start live streaming playing Bloodborne. So that's kind of the itinerary for related Lord of Mysteries stuff. So yeah, appreciate you guys tuning in as always. Hope you're having a great day. Now let's start the ending explained by Ani News.
As a person who watches the anime first, then reads the book second, I'm not afraid to admit I definitely didn't fully understand everything. It was once the finale aired and I read the final chapters, though, that the way everything came together was truly amazing. Like, who would have thought every single event of Season 1 was leading to this? The anime doesn't quite convey that reveal with the same clarity the novel does, though, so I figured I could do that for you. It's quite the feeling coming to the realization just how intertwined everything was. So, if you were confused by the ending or just uncertain of how specific events turned out, allow me to clear things up for you. Let's get started. Ince Zangwill, defected
I forgot about this dude, to be honest. Like, I was so hell-bent on Lanavis the whole time. I even mentioned it in the bomb episode, like that Lanavis was the main villain of Season 1. And we still have nothing else to Lanavis. Like, this guy came back in and blindsided the fuck out of me in terms of I didn't think he was a bad guy. I was like, oh, he's gonna come save Klein's life and all of them. He actually came and took Klein's life. I was fucking all over the place. But to be fair, for my poor justification, this was like a 30-second segment that I totally forgot. Like, Dunn's like, oh yeah, that dude, he's dangerous. Watch out for him. I even forgot what he looked like. That it was like such a short moment of focus that I'm like, okay, he might be a future bad guy in Season 2 or something. So like, I was totally thrown off by this dude.
Bishop and mastermind behind the events in Tengen. He was the one who stole the highly dangerous sealed artifact 0-08, and with it, he was able to orchestrate pretty much everything. What is sealed artifact 0-08? Well, aside from being the tool which made the events of season...
That's crazy, bro. I used this exact same image for I did a season reaction and posted that. And from like episode to episode, I had this feather going from like the timestamp movements, but I use the exact same feather. That's hilarious.
One possible, it's a seemingly ordinary quill that's anything but. Its full
Quilt.
powers aren't quite known yet, but based on what was shown and what's been mentioned in the novels, it seems whatever's written down by it eventually becomes true. To a certain extent, at least.
Interesting. To a certain extent. So this is like some Death Note vibes, which is pretty fucking sick, dude.
Its limits are another thing that aren't quite known yet either, but
which I saw, I don't know if I saw it in a comment or someone make a short video about it. So fucking cool. Every time the feather drops, you can hear the writing scribble sound effects and everything. I never even realized that or just put that together until after that. It's like such a fucking cool touch.
It doesn't appear to have the power to just straight up manipulate reality any way it wants. There are rules it has to follow. So, instead use this to secure Saint Selena's ashes, puppeteering a sequence of coincidences that spanned the entire season. It was a story within a story written by him. Where does this story begin? Well, that would be with Regents, the member of the Secret Order from Episode 1 and the person who sold the Antigonus family's notebook on accident. The notebook would then secretly affect its owners one after the other, eventually leading it to the hands of Sirius and Hannes, two members of the Aurora Order working to fulfill the will of the true creator. They would copy the formulas written within the notebook, then quickly sell it out of fear that the Secret Order would eventually track them down. This was how Klein's friend Welch came about it, thinking he was buying just some ordinary ancient book. It was a totally logical reason considering Welch was a member of his university's history department. In the meantime, Sirius would become attracted to the treasure the notebook mentioned existed at the peak of the Hornassus mountain range, often visiting the library in order to learn more about it. It's here he would log his real name and address, not thinking any problems would come from it.
Goofball.
It was also here that he would acquaint himself with Lenevis, a chance meeting as he was doing research for his scam. So it's from here that Sirius would become fond of Lenevis's lunacy and swindler abilities.
Lenevis? I like Lanavis more. To each their own. I'm probably wrong. I don't know, but I like Lanavis.
Leading him to bring Lenevis into the Aurora Order.
Lenevis.
Sirius would then tell Lenevis of the evil ritual capable of birthing the spawn of the true creator, a plan Lenevis would take interest in himself. Sirius never really thought that Lenevis could pull it off, but with the deity's approval being a potential reward, that was far too enticing for Lenevis not to try. And with Lenevis being the ambitious go-getter he was, he would plan the evil ritual all while continuing with his scam, occasionally visiting Hood Yugen in the mental asylum he was at too. Hood's a character we don't see very much of, but his role was certainly important. For now, just know him and Lenevis were acquaintances that go way back, both familiar with each other's circumstances. This brings us now to the very beginning of the season where, after a dark divination attempt, the Antigonus family's notebook would awaken fully. Klein's friends would die because of it, while Klein himself, under the influence of the notebook, would bring said notebook to Ray Bieber's house, a descendant of the Antigonus family, making the notebook naturally drawn to him. It was after that Klein was supposed to commit suicide, then that would be that, but for some reason inexplicable, the story written by 0-08 had to be amended. Rows of text were scribbled off in order to continue the story with these new developments. So, with Vince baffled by this turn of events, he would adapt his story to continue with Klein. He would have Klein meet Dunsmith, then join the Nighthawks, all while
I'm just re-listening. Don't mind me.
Rows of text were scribbled off in order to continue the story with these new developments. Inexplicable, the story written by 0-08 had to be amended. Rows of text were scribbled off in order.
So, and feel free to enlighten me. I mean, I say that cautiously. Like, if it's gonna spoil stuff that, you know, the novel's gonna explain, or the anime season 2 is gonna explain, then don't tell me. But what I feel I'm getting is that they wrote for Klein to die, and then then he committed suicide, but then they scribbled that out, which is then how the main character came to be in Klein's body as like a resurrection concept. I could be wrong. I could totally be wrong.
To continue the story with these new developments. So, with Ince baffled by this turn of events, he would adapt his story to continue with Klein. He would have Klein meet
No, because, yeah, never mind. Because Klein became a thorn in his side because somehow he was, like, still alive, they said. So then, they, like Ani News just said, they adapted the story to fit Klein into it now. Never mind. Retract the thing I said 30 seconds ago.
Dunn Smith then joined the Nighthawks, all while simultaneously developing the foundations for kidnapping in the background. Two brothers down on their luck and with no money left to their name would resort to blackmail in an attempt.
Oh.
All while simultaneously.
Okay, that is so cool. I would never even realize that early in the season when the feather dropped, because I was just like, oh, there's the feather. There's the feather. And it was the feather dropped to draw the kid's attention in there so he could get kidnapped. Wow, that is so sick.
Developing the foundations for kidnapping in the background. Two brothers down on their luck and with no money left to their name would resort to blackmail in an attempt to gain some. It was their search for a hideout that would coincidentally lead them to the room opposite of Ray Bieber's apartment, a now vacant space as Ray had already set out to digest the gift left behind by his ancestors. Luckily, Ray was already well on his way to madness, so rather than make the rational choice and leave Tingen to digest the notebook in private, he would stay local and simply find a more elusive spot. It was a decision made solely on instincts and a poor state of mind. In the meantime, the brothers would carry out their abduction, leading the victim's family to search for a security company that could help them find the abducted. The thing is, with most security companies being tied up with the investigation into Welch, not many were available to assist with this kidnapping. It was then that a chance meeting would lead the family to the Blackthorn Security Company, resulting in the recruitment of Klein and Leonard. The abduction would be solved shortly after, placing Klein exactly where the antagonist's notebook once was. Klein didn't realize it at first, but in a later dream his spirituality would reveal it to him. So, such a clue would get the Nighthawks more involved, bringing sealed artifact 2-049 into the investigation. Dunn and the Nighthawks would use this to find Ray Bieber before he could finish his digestion ritual, culminating in the massive monster fight we saw in episode 3. There was no doubt the Nighthawks would be able to defeat it, but where they were supposed to meet their end was the ambush from the Secret Order member after. Unfortunately, they didn't, and as a result of yet another unexpected outcome, Ince's story would have to be amended again.
He's a goddammit Klein.
Was supposed to end the situation with a secret of his own. Klein, who was supposed to be doomed before that, somehow killed the Sequence 7 clown in a way Ince couldn't even describe. The only thing he...
So I'm wondering too, because like every now and then they're saying somehow, somehow Klein did this, blah, blah, blah. Would that just be because he did from his main world, the world he's from, he was trying to do like the luck enhancement to get more luck. So I really feel that is, applied to him in this world, which then fits into the narration of all the somehow Klein did this, somehow Klein defeated this person. I just feel it's like a plot armor concept that makes sense. It's justified because like he did a luck enhancement ritual before coming to this world. So coming to this world, he would have some, convenient, coincidental, lucky situations happen in his favor.
He could write was a vague passage following several rows of scribbles of what Ince wanted to happen. Still, Ince would continue the rows of scribbles.
Klein, who was supposed to be doomed, killed Sequence 7 member from the Secret Order in an inexplicable manner.
Of what Ince wanted to happen.
That didn't affect development of the story.
Still, Ince would continue the story anyway, proceeding with Dunn's first encounter with something he shouldn't have. After receiving the notebook and flipping through its contents, Dunn, as indicated by the quill, would from this point be secretly tainted. In the meantime, Hood and Lenevis would be proceeding with their ritual, tricking Lenevis' fiancée Magaus into becoming the vessel that would carry the true creator's spawn. The ritual wasn't even supposed to be possible, as the most serious problem was, and I quote, Magaus wouldn't be able to withstand the sexual intercourse with the illusory projection of a deity.
I could withstand it.
In other
I
words,
could withstand
to
it.
even attempt the ritual would mean she would lose her life on the altar.
That's crazy.
Lenevis, of course, didn't know that, but it didn't matter as Ince had taken steps to ensure Magaus wouldn't die. Prior to her being set up on the altar, Ince would give her a portion of a Descendant of Death's characteristic, power once held by someone connected to the death pathway. So, the ritual would continue, Hood using his powers to trick Magaus into thinking the true creator's illusory projection was Lenevis. By the end, the ritual...
Wow, that makes more sense of him being a psychiatrist pathway, or... Is it pathway? I think it's pathway. Yeah. Because, like, psychology fucking with her mind and everything.
Had proven a success, and Magaus was now pregnant with the spawn of the true creator.
Damn.
The deity involved naturally saw through all the coincidences bringing such a ritual to even happen, but it didn't care as it wished to break free from the shackles placed upon him by the 7 deities. If doing so meant being part of someone else's plan, then for the time being he wouldn't refuse. Hood, however, became contaminated in the process, resulting in his eventual descent into madness later. Lenevis, on the other hand, regained all sense of rationality, quickly seeing that if he did bring the true creator's spawn into the world, he himself would become a sacrifice just like everyone else. He was foolish to think a mortal like him could be the father to the son of a god. So, knowing just how blasphemous such a thought was, Lenevis would leave Tengen, but not without leaving clues for the Nighthawks. He wouldn't outright tell them what he'd done though, instead opting to be vague as he didn't want to seem stupid. He would make it seem like he was playing a game.
He didn't want to seem stupid. That's fucking hilarious.
With these Beyonders. He did.
So he actually helped them shut this shit down. But not to look stupid, you know? Like, oh, this is all part of my plan. Good luck figuring it out. Hopefully you guys do, though.
However, tell one person before leaving, and that, as we know, was Sirius, the man who brought Lenevis into the Aurora Order in the first place. That's why Sirius was preparing for a so-called doomsday, as though he knew the chance of Lenevis succeeding with the ritual was slim. He had a faint feeling that Lenevis might have been able to pull it off.
Lenevis.
In the meantime, another incident with the Nighthawks would be set in motion, this time regarding the magic mirror and Selena. With Klein being the one to resolve this, it was only natural the Nighthawks investigate the cause Vincent. He was, after all, the one who gave her the mirror. This in turn would bring Dunn to Vincent, an encounter we know resulted in him seeing a clear image of the true creator. Now, where this should have contaminated Dunn and dropped him into madness, Dunn's prior affliction with the notebook prevented that. Instead, it only made that contamination worse. So, with Dunn's absent-mindedness and forgetfulness only getting more severe, Dunn was one step closer to the state of mind Ince wanted him to be in. Unfortunately for Ince though, once again Klein would step in to interrupt his story. In yet another unexpected development, somehow Klein had managed to notice Ince's secret influence over everything. He had divined a location he never should have been able to. Ince chalked it up to the influence of Ozic, but even with all the secrets Ozic possessed, Klein's ability to discover Ince remained unexplainable. Even so, Ince knew
so that's where Ince was hiding the whole fucking time?
Somehow Klein had managed to notice Ince's secret influence over everything.
So Ince was probably sitting right up in here, just writing in his little diary.
He had divined a location he never should have been able to. Ince chalked it up to the influence of Ozic, but even with all the secrets Ozic possessed, Klein's ability to discover Ince remained unexplainable. Even so, Ince knew he had to keep the story going regardless. He just needed to be more cautious now. So, Ince would have Klein coincidentally meet Sirius at the library, forcing him into a situation where he would have no choice but to kill Sirius. This severed any and all clues leading to Lenevis, delaying the discovery of what the true problem was.
That's
he
so
would then
cool,
have
man.
Klein come into contact with Magaus, but with his spirituality preventing him from observing her too closely, Klein wouldn't notice the subtle abnormality regarding her pregnancy. Klein would then spend his time searching for the chimney, a search that was constantly made to lead to nowhere. You see, with Ince's influence, Klein would always take a route that didn't include his target. It would delay his investigation by at least 2 to 3 months. Well,
Damn.
that's what Ince hoped would happen, but in the biggest amendment he'd have to make so far, paragraphs of text would have to be rewritten to accommodate for Klein's next bit of interference. So, with Dunn's condition alleviated due to his mastery of the acting method, Ince would have no choice but to add new elements to the story. Isaac would go to Backland in search of his lost memories, while Klein and Dunn would
So Isaac's going to he went to Backland too. I feel season 2's big time Backland focus. I feel everyone's gonna be in Backland.
Discover clues about Hood. In the background, the event with Madame Sharon would be brought to fruition, leaving Dunn and the Nighthawks into a dangerous face-off against her. Their plan to pull her into a dream seemed like the safest, but what they didn't expect was for Sharon to have the statue of the primordial demoness in her possession. It was a tool that helped her suppress and shield herself from certain divinations and other rituals. This in turn led to the mishap with Kenley, a fatal mistake causing Dunn to blame himself. He would then consume Kenley's Beyonder characteristic, an act which would delay his own digestion process. Not only that, the addition of another Beyonder characteristic went to bring his mental state back to the same unstable way it was before. So now Ince had recovered what Klein previously ruined. It was after that Klein and Leonard would find the letter from Lenevis, finally revealing the true nature of the game they were taking part in. At the same time, Magaus would receive a summoning to the Blackthorn Security Company, placing her exactly where she needed to be, especially now that her baby was at a critical point in its development. The moment the Nighthawks became aware of it, Dunn would make a plan that would undoubtedly resolve the situation. Was it the optimal plan? Well, that's where Dunn messed up. You see, had he been in the right state of mind to make the calm, collected decisions he always did, then Dunn would have lured Magaus behind the Chaunas Gate and used the environment and items there to defeat her that way.
Yeah.
Even waiting for backup would have sufficed as a decent alternative, but the one thing Dunn shouldn't have done was take out Saint Selena's ashes. Reason being that a deity's son would undoubtedly feel the threat those ashes pose to it, and as a result, absorb its mother's strength in an attempt to be born ahead of time.
That's crazy.
In other words, bringing out the ashes would only bring this god spawn into the world faster. Dunn would have known this had he been in the right state of mind, but due to the lingering madness from the interrupted digestion process earlier, he was unable to see the more optimal ways to stop Magaus. Now, Isaac, being the mystery factor he was removed from the situation by being sent to Backland. Had he been around...
I was about to say, which is very fitting, because Isaac's he's a high sequence level, and he's just so fucking cool and badass. I feel like if Isaac was remotely around, Dunn would be saved, alive, Klein would be alive, like everyone would be fine. Mego's creature thing, destroyed. Like Isaac would have fucking ruined... ruined her, but saved everyone. Like he would have ruined the Ince's plans and everything. Yeah, because Ince was a sequence 5, and then he progressed, I think, to sequence 4, demigod. I think it'll probably say it again in a second. So I think Isaac is higher than that. I don't know, man. Isaac had to be out of the picture though for all this shit to happen.
Then he probably would have come to help out, but because he wasn't a planewalker, he couldn't rush back to Tengen on such short notice. It's after that parts of Ince's story would be scribbled out again, resulting in more modifications to what he intended. The fight would continue anyway, except in addition to the Saint's Urn and Blood Vessel Thief artifacts, 2 high-level charms would appear seemingly out of nowhere.
That was such
a
cool scene.
It was with them that Magaus would be killed and her son exorcised, an outcome which would unfortunately cost Dunn his life too. The whole battle would leave the power of the ashes damaged as well, bringing everything Ince wanted to fruition now. So, in the most unexpected turn of Season 1 yet, Ince would kill Klein and secure Saint Selena's ashes for himself. The man who'd constantly hindered his plans was gone, and finally Ince could set up the ritual he'd been working towards this entire time. That's right, this whole elaborate plot was set up solely so he could advance from Sequence 5 Gatekeeper to Sequence 4 Nightwatcher.
Which I love this too. It's so fucking cool because they tricked me, and I'm sure they tricked a lot of other people too. Like with focus and everything, because I was so dead set on Lanavis and everything. And at the end, they're like, nope, This guy's the villain the whole fucking time. He's pulling the strings and manipulating everything. And like he comes in the last, I don't know, 10 minutes of the whole fucking series, and to be this big reveal that it was all him, so fucking crazy and but so awesome. Like so fucking cool, man.
A jump from the corpse collector pathway to the sleepless.
Yeah, so some of the comments, I've seen some comments and I've mostly avoided most of the other comments because some people just don't understand context of spoilers. But he switched pathways, which some of them I did read and appreciate. They elaborated, which also not really understanding the difference though. I'm an anime only right now. I'm gonna get into the novel, but then you're also spoiling, you know, ahead of time of a novel experience because people are like, well, in the novel, this was already established. I'm not in the novel. I'm on the anime. So you're still spoiling. But which I don't like it. I don't want to sound like an ass. I'm sarcastic personality. It is what it is. Just like I like making fun little things out of it. So what they told me is like the death, was it death?
Or Night Watcher. A jump from the corpse collector pathway to the sleepless.
Corpse collector, sleepless, they're neighboring pathways. So some context I did get from the comments without saying it, even though they're like, I'm not going to say it, but blah, blah, blah. You're still saying it. So from what I got from it is that you can switch pathways as long as they're neighboring pathways. And I think you can do that just cause, but most people do that. I think it's used for a clean, like, restart, a refresh type of thing. Because what I got from the comments is that basically Ince was slowly losing control, maybe to where like he would become like a beast or whatever. So to able to cancel that out, you would switch pathways. So switching pathways would be like a clean restart. So then you restart your body as a whole or whatever from degressing and losing control and becoming a monster. So I feel that might be a strategy of why people might switch pathways too. Besides like getting the perks of like the new pathway abilities and all that stuff, I feel that's another alternative of like, I could sense I'm losing control in this pathway. I'm gonna switch into another pathway to like give my body a clean restart so that I'm not losing control. That's kind of what I'm feeling so far. But do not confirm or deny. But that's kind of like what I grasped out of the situation. So we'll see.
It's one of the most significant advancements a Beyonder can make, since a Sequence 5 to Sequence 4 indicated the inheritance of godhood characteristics. What that means is that by progressing...
So yeah, that's when it became demigod. So like once you go from 5 to 4, you get godhood characteristics.
In Sequence 4, Ince had effectively made himself into a demigod now. This was all Ince was trying to accomplish, and the events of Season 1 was his way of achieving it. All the characters we saw and every development to happen with them was all manufactured by him and the help of sealed artifact 0-08.
So maybe he wasn't losing control. So maybe my theory I just talked about is completely wrong, and that's just another strategy of progressing sequence levels, from jumping from one pathway to another pathway. In doing that, you could also jump up a sequence level. So that's probably why he did it. He was a level 5 corpse collector. Ozzyx higher than that. So Ozzyx would definitely put him to town. Put him to town. What is that? Put him to work. Because it's like, I don't know, I feel like people who are on the same pathways, the higher level one would usually win, right? Because they're very familiar with all the abilities and everything and like how to counter it. Maybe. Plus they would have extra abilities and extra strength.
Now, I don't know about you, but after understanding that, I felt like everything just clicked together. Like, if you go back and watch the anime again, you'll see the clues for it were all over the place to begin with. We were just missing the one crucial piece tying it all together. So, with that all said, it's kinda crazy to think that Klein was just the side character to someone else's story. Obviously, that's not so much the case now, but what happened to him is a video for another time. This, however, should wrap up the events of Tengen nicely. If you are still confused though, then leave your questions down in the comments. I'm sure me or someone else can help answer them for you.
Okay. No, this was a good video. I enjoyed it. I enjoy most of all Ani News' videos. I've only done 3, I think, so far. One was more so a summary, but the other 2 were, like this one and the other one, were pretty in-depth explanations, which were really good. I think I maybe watched 4. I don't know. Yeah, I watched 4 videos total. It helped explain stuff more, and I know, because I considered doing a video as a whole in terms of like my thoughts and like where we're at now in terms of me, my understanding, and like in terms of the plot of the series, but I probably won't do that because I might just be all over the place talking and everything. But I do know that Klein, he is Sherlock Moriarty, not Moriarty, because I first interpreted it that like he's gone the Sherlock Holmes route, but he took the first name of Sherlock and like kept like a spin-off version of his last name from Moretti to like Moriarty. But no, it's Moriarty because that's the like Sherlock Holmes' main opponent's last name. So he took both of them. And there's a good comment. I'm going to paraphrase because I don't really remember it, but it's like becoming like the investigative aspect of Sherlock and everything, and like seeking revenge on the enemy, but also taking up like the ruthfulness or whatever of Moriarty to go after and attack the villain, something like that. I'm paraphrasing horribly, but which is cool. It's a cool concept. So in season 2, I got to get used to calling Klein, not calling him Klein, and calling him Sherlock. I think Ozzy's gonna know. Ozzy's definitely gonna know. I think Leonard over time is gonna come across him and know. Leonard's still gonna be in the show. And I'm wondering about, you know, if Audrey and the Hanged Man, what's his fucking name? I say it all the time. I mess it up half the time. Oh well. The Hanged Man, Miss Justice and the Hanged Man, if they'll have more focus in season 2, because I would be interested to get more POV aspects from their life, you know, their networking, who they deal with, who they talk with, how they're working on progressing their sequence levels and digestions and all that. I think that would be really cool. Even though Klein / now Sherlock is the main character, I would like those type of focuses, like we did Ozic in episode 6. I would like similar stuff for the Hangman and Miss Justice. I think that would be sick. I think that'd be cool. Yeah, this was a good video. That's it. I think that's it. So I'll see you guys later. Bye.